Good evening. Welcome to Your Mental Health Matters, brought to you by ONV, our neutral voices. My name is Crystal Kelly, and I'm your host for this evening. All right, Miss Tammy, we're right back at it again. We are going to be talking about how social media impacts our children's health. So, why do you think we need to talk about this? Why do you think we need to bring this to the light?
Why do I think we need to bring it to the light is because it's becoming a detrimental effect on the kids, and I know that it's becoming more and more used by young people, even as young as 7, 8 years old, or
Yeah.
maybe even younger. However, I think they're spending too much time on the social media, getting advice. Sometimes not the
Right.
greatest advice.
That's right.
Spending too much time not connecting person to person
Right.
with individuals, so they're losing a lot of natural social communications and interactions. So that is definitely detrimental. And what I've seen is that kids don't know how to communicate
That's right.
with other people,
Very true.
whether it's adults or their peers or what have you. They don't know how to have just basic conversations. So they're missing a piece
Yeah.
that's very important in their growth.
And it's scary, like you said,
Oh my
just
gosh.
to know that they don't know anything about going outside and playing.
Not going outside and playing, and then when they have disappointments,
Yeah.
they tend to connect with the social media to get a lot of times bad advice, and a lot of times those kids don't know how to handle it.
That's right.
And that is what's unfortunate, and that's why we are going to encourage more of the parents and caregivers to set better foundations for those kids to have basically a resource
Right.
when they do go through difficult times outside of the social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good points. And one of the things that I definitely want to bring up is I want to share some stats from the National Center for Health and Research. And I just thought this was very interesting. It says, what are the different social media platforms and how are they used? It states on here over 40% of adolescent girls and over 20% adolescent boys report using social media for more than 3 hours per day. The most popular social media platforms are, of course, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. And so for our older seasoned saints out there, I want to kind of break that down for each platform because I know a lot of people don't know what each of these platforms are that young people are using. So
I
let's
already
go
know.
into that. All right. So what I found in here, I'm just gonna read what it has on here. Snapchat, a little description of that, allows users to share photos that disappear once they have been opened, as well as stories that disappear after 24 hours. These stories allow users to share their experiences with all of their fellow followers through videos and photos. Another platform is Instagram. It has an option to share stories for 24 hours as well, but it also allows for sharing photos or videos that stay on the user's profile. Unless someone chooses to set the Instagram account to private, anyone can look at the photos and videos that are posted. Many people use Instagram as a form of photo blogging, posting videos from vacations, as well as daily life, and sharing their interests in art, cooking, and other activities. The most well-known social platform is Facebook, and I'll read what Facebook is. It let users share photos, videos, and articles, information about their lives, as well as chat with friends and more. YouTube allow users to share original videos such as music, cooking, makeup tutorials, and video blogs. Twitter allows users to share their thoughts and personal updates in 280 characters or less, as well as share pictures. And then the most common, again, let me say this, the most common platform right now is TikTok. TikTok is a social media platform that is used for creating, sharing, and discovering short videos. And so I know a lot of teenagers, as well as adults, get on TikTok. And let me just emphasize this too, is that all social media is not bad. It's just a matter of how you're utilizing it.
Right. And then monitoring it for the young people. Now, I'm personally not a fan of any of it.
Right.
And I have my reasons, mostly because I like connecting with people face to face. And then also what I've seen for the young people, they tend to get validation
Yes.
from the social media, from real characters or quote unquote unreal characters. And another detrimental for that is sometimes they're connecting with people that aren't true to who they say they are.
Right.
For instance, a lot of predators,
Right.
come into contact with youth based off of what their profiles are, right? And they could disguise as a peer, as the same age, as their interests,
That's
same
very
interests
true.
and what have you, and end up being a person that's probably 40 or 50 years older, looking to do them harm.
Yeah, and that kind of tied into what we had talked about in February, the human trafficking.
Right.
A lot of predators online that's what they're searching for, are
Right.
young people who are very naive, a lot of young people who may have low self-esteem,
Low
or
self-esteem.
don't have that social support.
Right. And we'll talk a little bit about that before we end this
Yeah, most
conversation
definitely.
today.
So another point I want to bring across is, how does social media harm our youth? I know that was something we were kind of discussing before the show. One of the things that I notice, as being a licensed mental health professional, when I see teenagers, a lot of them are coming in very depressed.
Right.
A lot of them are coming in with low self-esteem or fear, as if they're missing out.
Missing out.
And that short term is FOMO, fear of missing out on something. If you're not online, if you're not on social media, looking at the latest thing.
Right. And that's, again, comparison to other people, thinking their status is
Right.
not up to par and what have you. So that does play a part, especially with the young teenagers, because they're, again, at a place where they're trying to find their own identity.
It's very vulnerable.
And a lot of times that's where they go, the social media and their peers, for validation. And all that is not always positive.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of times, too, that I notice is that you made a good point about validation. It's like, if there are not, say for instance, relationships, relationship status are on there, when it comes to, I'm with somebody now, or I'm single. I mean, a lot of people, they live through social media.
And that's unfortunate, because unfortunate that the kids don't have self-validation and a good dose of self-esteem before they get to their preteens, because and that comes from their caregivers, their parents, whoever's raising them.
Right.
They do need to set that foundation early on, even before they're introduced to the cell phones
Come
and
on.
video and what have you.
That's right.
And setting boundaries. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Setting limits. Okay, if they are allowed to be on the social media, the
Right.
TikToks and what have you, make it a time limit. Don't
Please.
just let it,
Yes.
let it be indefinitely or till you fall asleep. If you fall asleep, that's another thing too, because they're
Yeah.
losing sleep. A lot of the high
waking
schoolers.
up
Yes.
throughout the night, checking the
Checking the
phone, their
phone.
status, what's going on, 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, and so you're losing some good sleep,
Yes.
which ultimately affects every part of your physical being.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And so, a lot of times kids, they live on social media, and that's not always a healthy thing. Another thing I want to bring up is the bullying. Bullying has played a huge part in our society today. social bullying. People, especially kids, are getting online bullying each other. It's called cyberbullying.
Right.
And so bullying, now that we're noticing, is leading to kids wanting to harm themselves, whether it's cutting, whether it's actually attempting to take their lives. That's a serious matter.
Now, do you know, because I don't know offhand, if the bullying is more prone to the young ladies or the young men, or is it about equal?
I think it might maybe be a mixture of both.
Probably a mixture of both, especially
Yeah.
in this day and age. However, I would lean more towards affecting the girls
Yeah.
more so because they tend to have more identity crisis,
Yes.
if you will,
I believe that.
you know, during those teen years especially.
That's right. And so being able to make sure that you're watching out for your children when it comes to being on social media as a parent, as a caregiver, is like, just don't let your kids be free on it. You know, again, we're not saying social media is a bad thing, but it's just a matter of just making sure that there are parameters, there's boundaries when it comes to protecting your children on social media. So what are some other things that we are finding when it comes to how social media is harming our young people?
So we can tap into the I guess the coping mechanisms.
Yes.
When they do have the bullying or the ups and downs on the social media, they're going to find ways to cope.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are not positive ways to cope, whether it's drinking or drugging. Then you have another problem
Yeah.
on your hands.
Yeah.
And I've seen where kids, elementary age kids, are having tantrums because they can't be on this phone.
That's, oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. And that's
a
a
real
problem.
thing.
It's
Yeah.
a real thing, but it's definitely a problem.
Right.
Because that shows me and shows other adults, responsible adults, it shows us that they have no good coping skills.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
you know, when something upsets them, they're falling out on the floor and having a tantrum. That's a problem, a whole problem.
I mean, it can lead to addiction. Like, that's a
Yes.
real thing.
It is a real thing with electronic addictions.
Yes.
And because it stimulates the part of the brain that the same thing that cocaine would or marijuana would, it stimulates that part of the brain.
That's right.
And I'm assuming the more you do it, the more you want it. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
And then if you don't have it, you're going through some
yep.
withdrawals or something.
And that could look like attitudes, walking around with a chip on their shoulder. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Talking back even more. You know,
Getting
not doing well.
violent,
Yeah,
getting
aggressive.
aggressive
Yeah.
and violent
Yeah.
sometimes, you know.
I'm
So-
like, what in the world is going on? But that's, again, we want to bring this to you guys, because this is something that the nation is talking about. It's getting worse and it's not getting any better.
Right. And again, we need to reel it into the parents and the caregivers because they have to set the tone.
That's right. It starts at home.
Starts at home, set the tone at the household, and then expect the same thing at your schools.
That's
And where
right.
the kids are going.
That's right.
Yeah.
Another thing, when you mentioned about school, we know now with the schools, everything is electronics. You know, when it comes to the lesson plans, doing assignments online. I mean, a lot of kids now, they have tablets, you know. And so just imagine your teenager at school, supposed to be looking at their tablet, the lesson plan, but they are over here switched over to YouTube. You know, I mean, yeah, they do that.
So it's almost like it's being groomed, or they're being groomed for the artificial intelligence, the AI, which is slowly but surely taking over a lot of things.
Right.
Even with mental health communication. I've read articles where the AI is going to be doing
I heard
some
about
of
that.
Oh my
I heard
gosh.
about that.
Now that's very
I just
scary.
don't know how that could replace human you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
you know, when you think about it, it's grooming some of the kids to kind of be that way and
Yeah.
accept the AI, you know, as the go-to
right.
for
I
help.
mean, yeah, that makes, yeah, very,
Just makes you think about stuff.
a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, time out. It's like, we can't use all, AI. I mean, there's still
'Cause
got to
you're-
be some human contact.
Human connection and human
Yeah.
contact.
And they can't feel.
Right.
There's no emotion there.
Right. And again, when you think about the devices that the kids are getting hooked on,
Mm-hmm.
and if you take it away for a couple hours, you'll start seeing
Yes. Come
the
on.
effects of that.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's let the people know, like, what can they do? What can they do when it comes to seeking out help if they're noticing, like, oh my goodness, that's my child.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, everything that you guys are talking about, I noticed with my niece, my nephew. What are the next steps that we need to take to make this happen where they are getting help?
Well, I do know there's professional help out there. My mindset is more on prevention because
Yes.
that's the best cure for anything. What did they say? There used to be a term. I'm going to think of it in a minute.
Okay, it's gonna come back to you.
Yes, it
Okay, it's gonna come back to you.
A phrase they used to say a long time ago. However, I think prevention is the best key because once the kid has that foundation
Yes.
from affirmations for those who are close to them and kind of knows who they are,
Right.
if they have that, and then if you feel it necessary for them to have a phone and the electronic devices later on in their childhood,
Right.
I don't agree with elementary age kids having it. However, maybe middle school kids, but then you still need to have boundaries.
Yeah,
Set a
very
time
strong
limit.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Set a time limit, and then also monitor what they're looking at.
Their content. That's right. That's
And
right.
at the drop of a dime. Don't give them a chance to delete it if they can. But also what young people need to know is that whatever you put out there and on Facebook,
It's out there.
It's out there. You cannot delete it. It's out there for the world, for eternity.
Come on.
Yeah,
That's right.
So you have to think about that, and then what you're putting out there. Will it be something that you'll regret in the morning? So,
Oh, good question. That's a really good question. Okay.
well, that's what they need to.
Yes, that's what you have to ask yourself
Yeah.
before you post. Like, okay, is this something I can actually live with?
Right, because it's going to be there.
Come on.
forever.
That's right.
Yeah.
One thing I want to bring up is the young moms, young parents, or whoever has young kids, babies. I notice a lot of people, like young parents, the first thing that they do if a child is acting up, 2 or 3 years old, here you go, here's the phone.
Yes. And they know how to work.
And
it.
they know
That's
how to
the-
work the phones. I'm like,
That's
oh
the
my
scariest
goodness,
thing.
yes. But we know the first 5 years in a child's life is so crucial. They are like, their brains are like sponges.
Right. That's the most critical time for learning
Yes.
and brain growth and brain health, especially the first 3 years.
First 3 years.
First 3 years. However, 5, you still, have some time to instill those things that they need as far as
Right.
the coping skills, especially. And I don't know. I don't know if young parents are into still reading a paper book
Right.
these days.
Yeah.
But that was a big thing. When I was raising my child, that was a big thing, having books and being mindful of that.
Yeah.
That is the most critical time of growth for a child's brain.
Very true.
Yeah.
And so just imagine, you definitely don't want to stunt that by giving your child just the phone just to kind of shut them up, or
Right.
just to get out of your hair. There's so many other ways to kind of help a child during that time, such as books, educational toys,
Bonding, just
bonding.
singing
I
with the
love
kid.
that.
Yeah.
I love
Singing,
that.
Playing with them, So,
So electronics is not always necessary,
right.
especially at that age. Some other techniques that we want to focus on is helping children to be healthy when it comes to self-regulating their emotions. So I know one particular therapy I love is mindfulness. Teaching mindfulness is all about being present, being in the moment. So again, kids are learning or trying to learn how can they manage their feelings, especially if they are feeling angry, irritable, feeling stressed. The behavior tells you a lot. You know, they may not have the words to tell you this is what's going on, but they can show you through their behaviors.
Through their behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows up at school or outside of the home.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the parents and caregivers have that opportunity to bond with the kid.
Right.
And honestly, the children are going to respond based off of how you respond.
Yes, that energy. Come on.
To whatever's going on in your life, and they model that.
That's right.
So, again, kids are sponges, and they model what they see.
Mm-hmm. So being able to teach your children about mindfulness, some of the things that goes with that is just doing some deep breathing, you know, just focusing on just breathing. Or maybe if you're into like aromatherapy, you know, having candles in the house, having essential oils like lavender, those things can help regulate a person's mood, their emotions. It's just a matter of just having those things on hand and being intentional with it.
Fresh air.
Yes.
Exercise. Those are simple things that we've said, you know, many times before, but those are things that can balance your body systems out and things that we need on a daily basis.
Right.
You know,
right.
simply walking around the block, taking the kids to the park. I know it's cold right now. However, 5 minutes of fresh air does a body good.
That's right. It does a whole lot of good. I'm just saying, it just changes your mood altogether. It really does. And so again, these are things we definitely think is really important as professionally recommendations of things that you can teach your children, things to look out for when it comes to if you're noticing a change in their behaviors. Some other techniques as well is journaling. That's a lost art. You know what I'm saying? Writing. And I know you're a big fan of writing. I love your writing. I know you do poetry, all that good stuff.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a good connection with the pen and paper.
Yes.
That's a researched connection to your brain and stimulating and calming your emotions down, your mental health.
That's right.
So yes, I encourage that all the time, and that's another inexpensive way to cope.
Thank you. Come on.
And to just kind of get your feelings out. Whether somebody reads it for you or you reread it or tear it up, that's up to you, and that's, you know, you don't have to always share it.
That's so true. It's just for you. That's right.
Yeah.
Another technique is seeking help. You know, seeking out a therapist. Again, having that safe person that your child can go to if they don't feel comfortable talking to you or anybody in the household. Hey, let's go check out this therapist. Being able to have that safe person, being able to have that connection with that person when it comes to if they're feeling, you know, depressed or if they're feeling anxious or, you know, dealing with other kids at school and how to handle those situations.
And then I would say also the school, I'm sure they do have resources. I'm not sure how often they make sure the kids know that they're a resource that they can, you know, go to if they're unable to go to their caregiver.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if anybody who is spiritual, you know, go to church, you know, your family, you know, you're being brought up in the Christian household, whatever you want to call it, religiously, spiritually, you know, talking to your pastor, your youth pastor, you know, get more involved in youth groups. That's a great way to make connections where you're actually talking to real people and they're not just online, but you're making friends there at church and in your youth groups. That's another outlet.
Social connections.
Yes.
Again. Yep.
And setting boundaries. And I know that's a hard thing to set, especially when you have teenagers. But again, it really do start when they are little. Yeah. But you got to enforce those boundaries. There has to be a routine structure of, okay, this is how long you're going to be on the phone for. The Each phone day. Comes with me at night. You're not going to have the tablet with you in your bedroom. Because, again, kids are losing sleep. They're sleeping in class, and they're not being able to be their best when it comes to performing.
That's right. And then it's unfortunate that maybe the people that need to hear it are not going to hear it. Because I have seen, this was at a middle school I was at a couple months ago, and I was just given an education class on smoking.
Okay.
And the young man came in. He could have been 11, 12.
Preteen.
Yes.
Okay.
And he automatically announced to maybe his teacher, maybe to me, that I'm not participating with that. And he sat on his phone the whole class time.
Oh my goodness.
And you really can't say anything to him because you don't know what kind of environment he just came from,
right,
or how he's going to respond because of what we're living in right now.
Right.
But that's how, some of the kids are responding to adults. And it's unfortunate because he was, like I said, glued to the phone the whole time and basically said what he was not going to do.
Oh, wow.
And
That's pretty bold.
I just could imagine how it goes every day in a lot of the school systems.
That's right.
Which is no control.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if anyone is just now tuning in, again, this is how the topic is how social media is impacting our youth. And we are just going through just important information of ways to kind of help your child, your teenager, if you're noticing behavioral changes because of their mental health is being impacted by being on social media. And so some of the things that we had kind of shared was what are the social platforms that children, young people are on, and we mentioned Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and the biggest thing as of right now is TikTok. Another point that we had discussed as well is how is social media impacting our children, and we're noticing children are becoming more depressed. Children are becoming more anxious, low self-esteem, not having that confidence, not being able to socially connect. They may call themselves being socially awkward because they're not making that social connection face to face versus they're chatting with other people, they chatting with their friends online.
Or even people they don't
know. Or people they don't know. That's right.
Right.
So that's some of the things that we definitely want to emphasize is just how can we protect our children. And some of the things that Miss Tammy and I were discussing is making sure that you set boundaries, making sure that you are aware of what your children are on on their devices. Again, kids will do what you allow, if they're allowed to do it, they're going to go for it. Yeah. If they know that you guys aren't checking or, being a parent or a caregiver, I mean, let's just be straight up. Yes. Let's be straight up because, again, this is kids need direction. They do. They really do need direction.
Need foundations and affirmations. And,
come on.
And early on. And setting limits. And what I found was, especially with teenagers, some of them crave that to have structure.
That's right.
And a lot of times when they act out is because they're craving that structure.
They want that attention. They want that positive attention from their loved ones, from their parents. So that's so important. So again, it's just a matter of, it's okay if your child gets upset if you take their device. If they cry, they get, throw a tantrum, it is okay. They will be fine. They will survive. But again, it has to start at home, like now, because this has been a national emergency because of so much is going on social media. Again, children are taking their lives because of feel as if they are missing out, they're being bullied, or feeling like they're not good enough. And Miss Tammy, I know we have an event that is coming up on the 25th of this month.
Saturday, March 25th. We'll be having a drug and alcohol awareness for youth, but we do encourage the adults to come out as well. Miss Asha Dis, she will be our special guest, and it will be from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Pontiac Library, which is on Creighton and Hannah Street. So if you can come out, please do. You can also get signed up on Eventbrite. Again, that's the Drug and Alcohol Awareness event on Saturday, March 25th.
All right. So again, this is another event that we are presenting through the Society of Black Mental Health Professionals and
CM Heart to Soul.
Yes. And so again, these are free. This is a free event.
It's a free event, and we'll have food there.
Yes, food. Yes. So come out, free food. Come on. So you don't have to feed your child that day for lunch. Just bring them out.
That's right.
Get some great resources. We're going to have vendors there.
Yeah.
Again, this is what we're about. We want to make sure that we are coming to you guys, bringing this to the community. And this is, I mean, take advantage of it. I just wish I had something like this when I was growing up.
Exactly. And this is the annual National Awareness Week. So that's why we chose to try to do this. We did it last year at the Boys and Girls Club, and this year we're going to have it at the Pontiac Library.
Okay.
So come on out.
All right. So again, this is Your Mental Health Matters. Your Mental Health Matters, brought to you by ONV. Please tune in on the first and third Fridays of each month. We will always come to you with fire. We'll come to you with information, resources to be able to just know that you matter. Your mental health matters. And so, as we always say, protect your mind.